Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm John Minicelli. I know you guys know me from posting on the site as well as some of my articles that I've written on ProWrestlingPowerhouse.net. I figured I'd give blogging a shot now to see how I go with this. This will be the first, maybe of several editions. This might be a one shot deal only. I don't know. I'll see how it goes. I'm gonna preface this by saying I've been watching the sport since 1985. The first thing I ever really saw, even before I saw WrestleMania 1, was my dad's friend came over one night and pulled out his TV guide and showed me a big pullout that they had for the first Saturday Night's main event, Hulk Hogan versus Cowboy Bob Orton. So, and at that point, I was like, all right, that's cool, I'll check it out. You know, I knew Hulk Hogan from the cartoons, so I was like, all right. And ever since then, I've been hooked. So I've been watching wrestling more or less for 27 years. I live in Brooklyn, New York, so I've seen a lot of WWE, WWF shows. Every now and then, when WCW would roll Nitro into the Nassau Coliseum, went to a bunch of those, and a lot of ECW when they would run Queens Boulevard, the Elks Lodge, the Lost Italian Halls. I mean, some of those shows were just ridiculous and amazing. And when you go back and watch some of them now, it's like, shit. You know, everyone talks about the Monday Night Wars and Raw and Nitro, but if you look at some of those ECW shows back in the day and what they were doing, those shows were probably some of the best stuff that was happening that no one was seeing. Almost like, to a degree, what some people say Ring of Honor is now, but I still think 96, 97, 98, even 99 ECW is still probably better than where Ring of Honor is now. But that's a whole other, maybe a whole other podcast for another day. My first thing that I'm going to give this a shot here is I'm going to preface this by saying I'm more of a WWE guy than a TNA guy. But, however, I have been intrigued by the Aces and 8's angle, even from when it first started the night after Slammiversary, when three weird, out-of-shape masked guys beat the hell out of Sting. And ever since then, it's been like, alright, where are they going with this? Where are they not going with it? Who it is? Who isn't it? So, I kind of got thinking, and I was listening to the Pro Wrestling Powerhouse Radio this past Tuesday, and also reading all the different blogs, both on Wrestling Roundtable and the Pro Wrestling Powerhouse forums on Facebook and whatnot, and everyone's automatically assuming that TNA is going to end this at Bound for Glory. And what I got thinking is that this is TNA we're talking about here, and if you really look at their booking the last, let's call it a year, they haven't exactly done, their end games have not been what you thought they would be. For instance, last year, we all figured once Bobby Roode won the Bound for Glory series, it was going to be an automatic that he was going to beat Kurt Angle and win the title of Bound for Glory. As we all know, that didn't happen. They went completely different. James Storm wins the title. Then it was like, alright, Storm's probably going to be the guy that turns heel. You know, Roode's going to maybe chase him. Roode turns heel. Roode wins the title 2 weeks later. Okay, Storm Roode, Bound for Glory, there's your end game right there. With the pit stop at Lockdown, which was fine. Now, everyone seems to assume that Storm Roode is still not the end game, especially with the way the Bound for Glory series is shaping up. I gotta admit, I thought James Storm was a lock. I thought this was going to be one of the most predictable things out there. Probably almost as predictable as the streak at WrestleMania, that James Storm was going to win this thing. With James Storm getting the bye, I'm not sure now if he is the favorite to win this. And that would then take us back to the point, well, and I said this when I called into Pro Wrestling Powerhouse, not this past week, the week before, is that anything Storm and Roode at Bound for Glory less the world title is a major fail, I feel. And I kind of feel that this had to be the culmination of everything. You know, we've come to get almost used to being disappointed with, this is the match that needs to happen, this angle needs to happen, and it doesn't. And all these unfinished angles, which mostly WWE is guilty of, more so than TNA. I will give them that. I mean, the list of forgotten WWE angles over the last 2 years even, you know, is just ridiculous. But that's a whole other different rant for another day. I don't know if I should say rant. But there's a whole other story for another day. it does. Now everyone's assuming that Bound for Glory has to be the payoff of the Aces and Eights angle, and that's when we're going to find out when all these guys are, who's leading it, this and that. But as TNA has shown us, who says the end game has to be what we think it is? And I know there was the hot rumor of Sting and Hogan teaming up against a couple of guys from Aces and Eights. I guess when originally it was supposed to just be 2 or 3 guys, they was talking that it was going to be a handicap match. Now that there's all these guys, prospects, and I think there's a Sergeant, and I'm sure the realm of guys, and I guess quote unquote rankings that we haven't seen yet with this group, it's a little vary. And I kind of got thinking about Bound for Glory. I don't see Austin Aries dropping the title, which I really thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to throw him into some sort of weird match at No Surrender kind of rush. And it doesn't look like they're going to do it. I mean, granted, it's Thursday at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so Impact is on in 3 hours. Who knows what they'll announce? For all we know, they'll announce Aries in a title match, although it doesn't look that way. It looks like it's going to be the Bound for Glory series matches. I think the women's match, the X Division match, and you might get a tag title match, and you might get one other match thrown in. But I don't think you're gonna, from what I read, what I've seen, and I don't think you're gonna see anything with Aries. So now the question is that once we're running into the last couple of live impacts that we know of, as far as the schedule goes, of course that can change. Is Aries gonna drop the belt before Bound for Glory, and if so, how does he drop it to Bobby Roode, especially with that "no, never again gonna happen" clause that they did before their match at the pay-per-view after Destination X. I apologize for it escaping my head. Now, what do you do to get the belt off Aries? Because there's not enough time to get the belt off Aries onto somebody else, have Roode beat that guy, and then head into BFG to face Storm for the belt. So I would assume, unless they're going to do something where Roode is maybe revealed as the guy, the leader of Aces and Eights, which I guess kind of works, especially with him pointing the finger at Storm for those couple of weeks, and him wanting to take out Austin Aries, the last couple of weeks with, the arm, and then the tribute to Stevie Ray with the flapjack, which, maybe, Aries steps up and says, "I'll defend the title against someone from Aces and Eights." The guy from Aces and Eights faces Aries, beats Aries, takes the mask off, reveals himself to be Bobby Roode. Then maybe you can still get to Roode Storm that way. It's very unlikely, and it's probably a little crazy, but then again, this is TNA we're talking about here, so it's not exactly out of the realm of possibility. Maybe that happens. Also, we still got the whole who everyone else is going to be with Aces and Eights. We heard this week, and this was probably one of the worst kept secrets around, Luke Gallows officially signed his TNA deal. He's probably going to be part of this. Wes Briscoe, I would almost assume from that little weird segment with Kurt Angle a couple of weeks ago on Impact, is definitely the long blonde-haired guy. I would assume Jeff Jarrett's going to have some sort of role in this. I thought that from the start, especially when they first attacked Sting. I thought originally this angle was going to run about, Jarrett being upset that, he was the founder of TNA. Why is he not the first Hall of Fame inductee? So I definitely could see Jarrett there. So you got Jarrett, Luke Gallows, Wes Briscoe. If we're all buying into the Bobby Roode thing, maybe Bobby Roode. I know some people have speculated that the large guy that they walked through the crowd last week was going to be Abyss. I think that would be a phenomenal little storyline part if they play the multiple personalities of Joseph / Chris Parks. You have Abyss with Aces and Eights, and Joseph Park with TNA wanting to fight Aces and Eights. That could make some very interesting television. I think that could work very well. I know there's also rumors maybe that a lot of people think maybe that was Garrett Bischoff that hit Austin Aries with Flapjack. Hey, the crowd hates Bischoff. You know what? Why not turn him? This would probably lead a way for Daddy to come back, for Eazy-E to get back involved too. So you got about 4 or 5 main guys there. Plus I heard that there may be some guys from Ring Kaka that might be involved in this. Some guys maybe from OVW. But again, is there going to be enough, and is there enough time to build a Bound for Glory card around this? Which makes me wonder, is that is Bound for Glory the end game of this storyline? And I'm starting to think, because we're coming up on No Surrender this Sunday, and then I believe it's like 5 weeks till Bound for Glory, I don't know if you could build, especially with everything else that TNA has going on, I don't know if you could build a strict Aces and 8's versus TNA pay-per-view at Bound for Glory and not have everything seem too rushed. And that's what makes me think that maybe we may wait this out. Maybe lockdown in April. Maybe this carries its way to lockdown, and that's when the culmination of this angle is. I think we need to start finding out guys. Even if we find out like one guy or two guys, I'm not saying the whole crew has to get revealed right away, but you gotta start popping a guy off here and there, giving us one guy. Even if you're gonna give us Wes Briscoe, Luke Gallows, Garrett Bischoff, maybe you hold off the bigger guys, like your Jarrett, like potentially your Abyss, maybe even your Bobby Roode. I would do that, even if you want to do it a little different, what I just said about Aries versus a member of Aces and 8's for the title, and the member wins the title. Instead of having the guy unmasked right away, have Aces and 8's gloat that they have the title hostage. It's different ways to go. It's the one thing that actually is saving TNA right now, because especially after the Claire Lynch debacle, you need something, and you need something a little long term, and I think we need to kind of be prepared that a couple of the things that we thought were going to be the end game for Bound for Glory are probably not. And you also have to accept the fact that if this goes TNA versus Aces and 8's, there may be some big names left off that Bound for Glory card. So this is a weird time for TNA, especially with the timing of, Bound for Glory is the biggest pay-per-view of the year. It's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. They're going to induct Sting into the Hall of Fame. They've got Christian Cage doing the induction. So it's a little interesting as to where this all goes. I hope they don't play anything with Christian per se indirectly. I mean, I know obviously they can't put him in any type of storyline or have him get physical. I'm sure that's not part of the agreement. But do not even begin to insinuate, wow, he's going to be there. He introducing as the first member of the TNA class, and all of a sudden all these guys come up. Do not do what they were originally trying to do with the NWO and insinuating that these guys are from WWE. That would just be the worst thing to do. But I gotta admit, like I said, I'm not a big TNA guy, but I'll probably watch tonight, or at least watch it on YouTube after, just to kind of see where this progresses. I think this is also a weird spot for Austin Aries as the champ. He's kind of in between all this, but stuck in nothing, because there's the injury side to this. Hogan and Sting are obviously going to be the bigger thing, because it's going to be the big attraction. Hogan and Sting teaming together, oh my god, Dixie Carter's going to, drip down her leg at the mere mention of it. So Aries may be a little lost in translation, and if they even find a way to go Aries, Rude, Storm, and Triple Threat, the match is all going to be about Storm and Rude. Granted, Aries probably retains in that scenario, but again, he's like, it's exactly what CM Punk's going through with the WWE title. He's not John Cena. The title doesn't mean as much, and unfortunately in TNA, Austin Aries may be stuck in a spot where he's the champ, but he's not Hulk Hogan, he's not Sting, he's not an Aces and 8's, and oh, by the way, he's not Bobby Roode or James Storm. So I think for the betterment of the angle and everyone else involved, you need to stretch it past Bound for Glory. There is no way this thing can come to a head at Bound for Glory. You want to start unmasking guys and keep the group together after, that's a different story. But again, you're going to start unmasking all these guys within 5 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it is till Bound for Glory. I think you're going to take away from the angle. You built this up pretty good for about three and a half months at this point, however long it's been. Slammiversary was in June. It doesn't pay to rush it over realistically 4 weeks, because you'll lose tonight. Tonight will be all about No Surrender in the Bound for Glory series. So, we'll see what happens with it. It does make some interesting TV. The TNA TV, I gotta admit, has been very good, more or less. They've still had some issues. The fact that you had no TV explanation for Devon, and with the title and all that, that's a whole different mess. But, the TV's been good. We'll see what happens, and, hopefully, who's ever writing TNA now that Russo's gone, they don't dropped the ball on this. I think if this was Vince Russo, this would have been Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, and all those guys. Thankfully, that's not going to be the case because Russo's gone. So we'll see what happens. Again, this is John signing off. If you guys don't beat the shit out of me too much for this, maybe I'll do a couple others. So thanks for watching if you watched.